That's my very good morning. Thank you for joining in Yulimbone, the multi-sider Sadek. I am multi-sider Sadek. We'll be looking at what's happening in Parliament, as well as the WASI provisional results and the bullion van attack, the robbers who have been arrested, and on the international front to bring you what's happening around your world. Let's start off from court. And the Supreme Court has held that a 7-member panel of the Apex Court, presided over by Justice Jones Duche, also held that a deputy.
The Supreme Court on Wednesday morning struck out Order 109 Clause 3 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, which states that a Deputy Speaker or any other member presiding shall not retain his origin while presiding as unconstitutional. The court also held that the decision of the majority New Patriotic Party (NPP) to approve the 2022 budget on November 31, 2021, where the first Deputy Speaker voted, was valid. The landmark decision follows a writ filed by Justice Abdullahi seeking the interpretation of Article 104 Clause 1 of the Constitution. Justice Abdullahi, in his statement of case, contended that it was unconstitutional for the Deputy Speaker to have counted himself for the purpose of making up the quorum of half of the members of Parliament required by Article 104 Clause 1 when Parliament approved the 2022 budget and economic policy of government on November 30, 2021.
In this case, I think there's actually no one lost because I think the Constitution wins, the people of Ghana win, and this is the best decision that I think should have had. It puts clarity on the law, despite the fact that some of the reliefs I was seeking were not obtained. But there's a far-reaching decision that has been made by the Supreme Court today, to the extent of striking out portions of the standing orders, and this is very good for all of us. It puts clarity on the rules of Parliament, and indeed, it makes all of us citizens. And I think I would probably use this opportunity to invite all of us to be participants in the
Constitution. Has any statement be made that whenever a deputy speaker presides, he loses his right to vote. Indeed, as I indicated in the submissions for the court, all the circumstances under which a member of Parliament will lose his right to vote have actually been spelled out in Article 104 ISO. And so it is really devoid of controversy. And it's also very important that all jurisdictions around the world, whenever the Speaker of Parliament or a Deputy Speaker of Parliament is a member of Parliament, he always has the right to vote.
Meanwhile, First Deputy Speaker Joseph Osei-Owusu has welcomed the ruling by the Supreme Court that a Deputy Speaker of Parliament can be counted during the formation of a quorum for parliamentary decision-making and participate in voting while presiding. Addressing the media in Parliament, he said that the decision by the Supreme Court is refreshing and affirms his earlier decision to join his colleagues on the majority side to approve the 2022 budget while presiding over proceedings of the House. According to him, the decision by the Supreme Court would help guide the practice as members of Parliament and advance Ghana's democracy.
It was a voice vote, and I did not participate in the voice vote. But I insisted that I be counted as a member of Parliament present to constitute the quorum before a decision was taken. Indeed, this decision affirms that position that I took. I find that very refreshing. Soon after that decision, a former Speaker of Parliament called me and he said, "I called you to congratulate you for being bold to take this decision, because that is how the frontiers of the law are expanded." Matters that have never arisen are now in the fore because of the numbers we have in the chambers. So anytime there is disagreement, as I've said already, I will interpret the rules and the law as I understand it. I encourage people who disagree with me to boldly state their position, and if need be, refer to the appropriate body like the Supreme Court to guide us. As of now, at the end of it all, we are being guided. What we have not done before, where the way was not clearly marked out by our own standing orders, have now been cleared by the Supreme Court, and I think it will help us advance our democracy and our practice in the chamber.
What do you make of 109 has been ordered to be struck off from the COD?
Right.
How does that strike you?
Well, let me say that we had a long argument between myself and the majority leader. He argued that, in his view, a deputy speaker presiding was entitled to a casting vote. I said that reading the constitutional provision, I tend to agree with him, but I will not make a pronouncement because it is not so clearly stated in the standing orders and the constitution. I'd rather that a body other than me will make that declaration. So I'm very glad that indeed that clarity has been given, but I'm not surprised. The text of the constitution was very clear, and even that 1093 was clear that you shall not retain the original vote, whereas in the case of the speaker it said you shall not have either original or casting vote. When it came to the deputy speakers, it said you shall not retain the original vote.
Away from that to education, and the West African Examinations Council has released provisional results of 52,974 candidates who registered for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination (WASSCE) for private candidates 2021. A total of 24,769 males and 28,205 females registered for the examination. Those who registered included 242 visually impaired persons and 372 hearing impaired persons.
Out of the total number that registered for the examination, 1,897 candidates were absent. The results of 696 candidates have been withheld pending the conclusion of investigations into the cases of their alleged malpractices. The malpractices include bringing foreign materials and mobile phones into the examination hall, impersonation, collusion, and seeking external assistance. The withheld results will be released as soon as the council concludes its investigations. Candidates may access their results online at www.wayekgh.org. Caution: WAEC wishes to caution members of the public to be on the alert for scammers who contract candidates with the promise of upgrading their results for a fee payable through mobile money transfers. Members of the public are to take note that the council's results database is well secured and results can be authenticated. Institutions and organizations are therefore advised to confirm or verify results presented to them directly from the council or access the confirmation of verification service online at the WAEC website. The results printouts can also be confirmed by scanning the encrypted QR code on the printout with the downloaded version of the WAEC GH QR code reader.
Away from education to agric, about 167 farms are the beneficiaries of the government's compensation package to farmers affected by the avian influenza outbreak in Ghana. The government has released over 20 million cedis as part of approved funds to recognize the loss of the affected farmers. The compensation exercise starts immediately.
The amount, 20,105,718 cedis, 3 pesos, is to pay affected farmers some outstanding compensation from 2015 to 2018, stamping out, decontamination and disposal materials, and the rollout of a communication plan.
The ministry has agreed to pay 30 cedis for a matured bird, 20 cedis for a pellet, 10 cedis per chick, 80 cedis for a bag of feed, and 10 cedis for a crate of eggs based on the amount available immediately. The ministry also received the requisite data on the number of farms that were affected during the outbreak of 2016, 2017, and 2018. An outstanding 36 poultry farms will also receive their compensation.
Affected farmers between July and December 2021 are to present their certificates of destruction to the Finance and Administration Unit of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture for immediate payment. Poultry farmers are also required to intensify their biosecurity measures and avoid restocking of their farms until biosecurity certification and management practices are certified by the Veterinary Services Directorate. The national chairman of the Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana, Mr. Victor Opunweji, lauded government's plan to include affected farms from 2016. He welcomed the ongoing biometric registration and certification of poultry farmers.
We know that this is going to help the industry and the government as a whole economically, because with this biometric registration, it will help us to monitor every activity that is going on in the industry.
In future, farmers without biometric certification and registration will not be compensated. Over 50,000 birds were affected in the outbreak of bird flu in the country. For GBC News, Shirley Annan reporting.
To sanitation now, where the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Dr. Kweku Efriye, has interacted with collectors of plastic waste in Accra and Tema. His visit was to get direct information on their challenges and how the ministry can help them make their work easier.
The hazardous effects of plastics tend to have cumulative and compounding negative impact on human health, from the pollution of the air, marine, freshwater, agriculture, fisheries and environmental quality in general. As part of measures to reduce the plastic menace, the Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Kweku Efriye, has met with plastic waste collection companies. The tour was to observe the work of the collectors and check the state of the sites. At Space Plus Company Limited at Odorna, the minister urged them to adopt a holistic approach in the collection of plastics.
We've done a lot of analysis. The plastics, as you go down and its diameter shrinks, then that's when the problem starts. In other words, the 4 gallons and the GMA plastics, even at the village level, you will not find any of them littered. No, because people literally fight over them. When you come down, then from the PET bottles down to the plastics, the under 20 microns, that's where the problem starts. Because the recycling model that we set up, the incentive mechanism is said that people do not find it advantageous or economically feasible to be picking those ones. So this, your entity, those who pick the plastics, I want to know from you, for example, one, what incentive mechanism should the minister in all this program formulation should we put in place, which will make it feasible for you to pick every plastic, including the under 20 microns?
The major problem for most of these waste collection companies was how the plastics are transported to their field operations and the encounter with security agencies, especially the police. The plastic collectors said there are not enough recycling plants in the area and the few available ones pay little for their services. The chairman of the Landfill Waste Pickers Association, Mr. Johnson Doe, pleaded with the minister to support them in their decision-making process.
Some of us work for 2 or 3 decades, and we are more into this plastic and picking activity, and we are more expert than Omuamutina officer in the waste management. I play major role regarding the plastic pollution. Your contribution, your effort, your support, but me abwa na atumia a reduce nyama beble efa plastic.
The minister commended the collectors for their efforts to make the country clean.
And we're still celebrating Heritage Month on GBC and GTV Breakfast. If you were a pupil in the lower primary in the early 90s, then you're sure you might have read the book that told the story of the Asesewa market and how vibrant it was at the time in the eastern region. The number of years